East Coast, West Coast, or around the world. This is Coast to Coast. And of course, we have our super sad Cowboys fan and probably ecstatic Vikings fan. And then, of course, myself as a Seahawk fan. It was ugly, but a win's a win. How's it going, gentlemen?
I think for two of us, it's going wonderful.
Well,
for the third person on the panel, half of his life is going good because Texas is now the #1 team in the country for college football.
You know,
so half of his life is going good.
The best part about this right now is our Cowboys fan has a buffering logo above his head on the TV.
I see that. His thought process is buffering right now, how he feels about the Cowboys.
Hey, in all honesty, that's how most of my weekend went, to be honest. It was a very accurate depiction. I'll say it was bittersweet this weekend. It was bitter by the way in which the Cowboys lost. Not the way that they got the loss. It's just the way in which they lost. Secondly, it was sweet because I scored 121 points in my fantasy league and kicked ass. So that was and like the sad guy said, Texas is #1. So I mean, there were some positives, but was it ugly, wasn't it? Jesus.
So, and the thing that's funny is, I got crushed in Pick'em this week. Just absolutely murdered. So many underdogs ended up winning. It was rough. But I took the Cowboys because I'm like, it's early in the year. This is when they actually play football. Right. And then y'all did that.
Right. And the crazy thing about it, Bo, is it wasn't like we lost a ton of stuff, which, I honestly thought we were, with the cap and all. We were playing all these different scenarios that were going to happen. It's not like they lost a lot. The only really thing that they lost, which is a huge thing, was Pollard. Pollard was really the only big thing that they lost. But it wasn't the offense completely that shit the bed.
I disagree.
Zimmer and that damn defense.
I would say the biggest thing you lost was confidence because they couldn't figure anything out there.
And the thing about it, what really just drives me on this defense thing is Zimmer went to Parsons and said, "You know what? I'm giving you the keys to the defense. It's all on you. Do you, boo-boo. You just do what you think you need to be." And how the hell did that turn out for him? I'm serious. How did it turn out for us? Because I'm still reeling on it.
Yeah, I mean, so it's funny because I don't know if we learned more about the Saints yesterday or more about the Cowboys, because the Saints, weirdly, have scored over 40 points in their last 3 games, right? And it's funny because it shouldn't be as big of a shock as it is, because when you looked at the roster, I thought they were going to win their division the year before, right? Like you looked at the roster and you're like, okay, this team can go. And then they didn't, right? Like they were just terrible. They finished the season with, a nice game, but you attribute that to your season's over and there's no pressure and you just go out and ball out. But now they've strung 3 of these 40-plus point games a row. So it lets you know that offense has something. On the other side, you didn't lose enough to play as bad as y'all played. And I mean, because your major losses are going to be next year. That's when the cap really blows you guys up. Yeah. So this was that, kind of like the Niners. This is your last shot. Now, it's not as good of a shot as it was last year, right? You did lose some key pieces, but although you should be taking a step back, you shouldn't be losing to the Saints by 40.
And first of all, I just want to say one thing. If anybody out there is a Raiders fan, you got to imagine right now, Mark Davis and Mr. Pierce are rolling over thinking like, why the hell did we ever let Carr go and give us the shit bed of QB situation that we got now? I mean they won.
The Raiders did beat the Ravens on the road yesterday. So
yeah, but look, everybody gets lucky every once in a while. That's not the long-term solution. That right now what they got at quarterback.
It's not, but the big reason for Derek Carr's success this year is he finally has a competent offensive coordinator.
Oh, absolutely. I'll give you that for sure.
Clinton Kubiak is a very underrated offensive coordinator. Obviously, the son of Gary Kubiak, who's always known as one of the best offensive minds in the game. Clinton Kubiak was a great offensive coordinator with the Vikings. And Kirk Cousins actually had the best season of his career when Clint Kubiak was his offensive coordinator in Minnesota. Then he went to Carolina 2 years ago, had a rough go there, obviously, but Carolina's a dumpster fire. Then he ended up signing – I think he signed with Denver or the Chargers last year as the quarterback coach, and now he got the offensive coordinator gig in New Orleans, and he's showing what kind of offensive coordinator he is. He's a great offensive mind, just was stuck with Mike Zimmer in Minnesota, so he never got the recognition that he deserved because Mike Zimmer was a cancer to that coaching staff.
Speaking of Zimmer, I just want to say, just to wrap up the Cowboys and to tie into what Stat Guy's talking about with Zimmer, what I think we learned from this Cowboys game is, number one, Bo, to your credit, like you said, if they don't do it this year, next year's a blow up. And let's be honest, they're not going to do it this year. Let's just be realistic. They're not going to do it this year. So they really are setting themselves in a purgatory. But I think, everybody knows that Mark McCarthy is going to be gone after this year. And who the hell's coming in the wings? The guy that gave the keys to the defense, Zimmer. Come on, man.
You can have
that's where we're going. That's what we're learning. We're learning that we got 4 more years of hell with the Cowboys.
Do you actually think that's the case? Because if the defense looks this bad, I bet he doesn't get the nod.
You would think.
I'm still sticking with.
Oh, you're thinking like a normal human being. This is Jerry world. Okay, hold on. This is Jerry world. So you have to really switch your mindset and put yourself into Jerry's place. And you know damn good and well he's going to get a keys to Zimmer because he wants a yes man. Who I think he should get the keys to is go get Bobby Slovic out of Houston, make him your head coach, and let's get this damn party going.
Well, I'm still gonna stand by what I said last year. I think Deion Sanders is the coach of Dallas next year.
Yeah, and I'm gonna roll over my grave
because if you can draft Travis Hunter to Dallas,
sure,
and use him how you want to use him.
I don't think you're gonna get that though. I mean, especially if Deion. Well, I don't know. I guess it depends if Deion somehow pulls off something miraculous or if they are just absolutely awful, right? But if he stacks a couple of wins, becomes bowl eligible, I don't think he leaves.
I think he leaves because of Shedeur. Because if Shedeur is not going to be in college much longer, what incentive does he have to stay there? That's the main reason.
I'll tell you this right now. Look, everybody knows that Jerry is a terrible GM. He's good at evaluating talent, but he's a terrible GM, right? Sure. But here's the thing. He's a great businessman. And if you don't think that, go look at how much the Cowboys are valued at right now.
Everything the Tiger. He's great.
Hey, but here's the thing. This is why I believe what Stat Guy's saying. Because, look, everybody knows that Deion ain't a damn good coach. He's great at drawing attention. He's great for the money in the revenue stream. That's what Deion is good for. And that's exactly what Deion will line up really good with Jerry Jones, as he'll be a great revenue stream coming back into the Cowboys to make them even more richer.
I don't know that we know that's true about Deion yet.
Really? You don't think so? He's playing his son's rap song in the end zone on touchdown. No.
I'm not saying he doesn't do dumb stuff. That is not what I'm saying. What I'm saying is he built a winner in Jackson State.
Yeah.
He took a program that was irrelevant in every way, shape, or form, takes a one-win team, quadruples the wins. That is a step forward in any measurement.
Mm-hmm. But is that coaching or just the ability because of who Deion is, and he's an attraction magnet for people who want to come play for him because he's Deion freaking Sanders? Well, I don't know if it's coaching is his ability to attract talent.
Well,
you still have to direct them downfield.
Yeah. This is another reason why I think Deion's going to end up there next year is because who did Deion try to get to come to Colorado last year as his defensive coordinator? Mike Zimmer. Him and Zimmer were very close to reaching a deal for Zimmer to go to Colorado last year.
I'm not saying I wouldn't enjoy the chaos that would ensue. Like I'm all about that. I think that would be hilarious. I feel bad for Jay, obviously, because he will win 0 things. But I mean, it would be hilarious because you think they're in the news now. Wait till Jerry and Deion start butting heads like that. Seems hilarious.
It really does. You're unequivocally absolutely correct. And that's what we learned. And that's what we know fits in Jerry's world. And so for all these things that we're talking about, it would not surprise me I'm just going to surprise anybody if any of this actually came true. It's not going to surprise any of us.
I mean, if that comes into fruition, then Wednesdays would just have a segment of Pile on McLovin, because there would be a segment every week of just what a dumpster fire that thing is.
Listen, all I know is if that happens and y'all make that actually come to fruition, I'm just gonna double down on my depression meds. It's okay.
You should be staring into space.
Hey, I'm gonna remove all sharp objects. Anything that could be a projectile.
Speaking of depressions, how long until Bryce Young is gone? The guy set an NFL record last year for the fewest amount of yards passing, despite completing 20 passes.
I'll tell you damn what. I bet you Caleb Williams is gone before Bryce Young.
Oh, I don't. Caleb Williams' offensive line
chance.
sucks. Caleb Williams' offensive line freaking sucks. I am surprised that guy is still standing.
No, don't even make those damn excuses for that man. Don't you do it.
I mean,
Did you watch the game? Did you watch the game last night?
To be fair, Bryce Young doesn't have a good offensive line either. That's why he got hurt.
Yeah, but did you watch the Houston game last night, though?
Caleb Williams shit the bed. He sucks, and I'm sorry. He's not the damn guy.
At least you're not mad about it.
I'm not saying Caleb Williams is the guy for sure because I've never been sold on him, but at the same time, I'm not blaming him for last night. That guy.
Justin Fields looked better than he did.
Who?
Justin Fields.
No, because Justin Fields has an offensive line.
No, I'm not talking about Steelers. I'm saying the Justin Fields in Chicago looked better than he did.
Because he can run. Because Justin Fields can run and will use his speed to his advantage. Caleb
Did
Williams.
you see how many all-target passes that he threw? I did. I watched that whole.
Well, yeah, obviously, because he didn't want to get hit no more.
Dude is absolute garbage.
No, I mean, he didn't want to get murdered anymore.
He didn't want to get murdered anymore. I'm surprised that guy is still standing right now for how hard he was getting hit last night.
Please.
He got beaten up.
Too.
Like Caleb, I do not.
I ever met in my life.
I do not like Caleb Williams at all.
Everything. Why don't y'all give Dak some of that love? That love you're giving for Caleb Williams?
I don't have love for him. I don't like Caleb Williams at all. I never have liked Caleb Williams. But I will say this. I will say this though.
Well, I mean, I'm not saying you specifically, Bo, but definitely Stat Guy is giving him love. Well, did you see this offensive line?
Can I finish my statement though, Jay?
I mean, come on.
Shut the fuck up, Jay.
I literally said I've never been sold on Caleb Williams. I never thought he was the best quarterback in the draft class. I never thought he should have been the number one pick. But after watching that game last night, I do respect Caleb Williams a hell of a lot more than I did before because that man took a fucking beating. That said
wants a percentage of a franchise to join the damn team. This guy can't even get over 150 yards, yet he wants a percentage of the franchise. Come on.
I mean, he was also he was getting hit all night. I mean,
he got hit. So he got sacked 7 times last night. He got hit 27 times last night, which is the most in the last 8 years in the NFL. Caleb Williams got crushed last night. I respect him a lot more than I did just because of the fact of how bad that man got crushed last night, and yet he kept getting up and taking the beating. Of course, his passes were going to be.
He just got a $20 million damn bonus. He better get his ass up.
Yes and no, because I've seen it before where rookie quarterbacks are out there getting their ass handed to them, and they look at their coach and be like, "Get me out of here! I don't want to be out here no more." Like it happened.
David Carr has any sympathy for Caleb Williams? David Carr got sacked like 77 times his first season as a debut with the Texans.
That was an expansion team, though. Big difference.
I'm not saying. We were just talking about the point of him getting up. I mean, David Carr's probably looking at Caleb Williams saying, like, "Stop being a pussy. Get out there."
What are you talking about? He got up like a champ. David Carr would have looked at that and been like, I mean, all right.
Yeah.
He was getting hammered.
I still think David Carr is trying to figure out where his house is. I mean, you talk about some CTE and some concussions. I mean, I'd be loving to know how much he got over his course of his career.
I mean, weirdly, he doesn't have the most sacks ever. I really thought he did, but it's only because he didn't play long enough.
Right.
But, I mean, I think he had like 3 seasons in a row that were over 50 sacks. Like it was crazy. But that team was really bad. I mean,
and the thing with Caleb Williams last night, the whole point of this season for him is to show improvement from one game to the next.
Yeah.
He had 91 yards passing his first game. He had 183 yards passing last night, which isn't great, but it's still double the production that he had in week 1, and he had 170 yards passing after the third quarter. The reason why he only had 13 yards passing in the fourth quarter was he was sacked 5 times in the fourth quarter. He literally
needs to learn to get rid of the damn ball. How about that, Maple?
How about when you're getting
How many times did I
pressured
see
up?
Caleb Williams running and wouldn't get rid of the damn ball?
I like that you just immediately are on the hate train. It's
not much that I'm on the hate train. I just hate seeing people who self-impose hype themselves and then go out and shit the bed. That irks me, man. It irks me. Stop.
It irks
You're
me
not
too.
really the deal.
It irks me too, but if you look at the fourth quarter, he had less than 2 seconds to get rid of that ball in the fourth quarter. Like the Bears' offensive line might as well not even been out on the field.
Yeah, they
Like,
literally
they weren't even blocking in the fourth quarter. Like he literally had 2 dropbacks where he had 2 seconds to throw. Otherwise, he had a guy in his face before he even got into his 3-step drop. You can't even get rid of the ball at that point.
He literally could have had a better offensive line if they just dove on the ground and tried.
Yeah, like you literally couldn't. He literally had no time to get rid of the ball.
But I did see some mistakes that he was making that weren't offensive line related.
Yeah, that I agree. But he's a rookie. That's going to happen.
Okay, bullshit. Stroud's a rookie for freaking Ohio, the school that produces shit quarterbacks. And look at the first one and blew the doors off the damn team.
Yeah, but he still had his struggles the first 3 weeks of the season.
No matter about the damn struggles, where did he end up? You think Caleb Williams? Okay, I'll tell you what. You're right. Let me give him one more.
I got a real question for you. Who peed in your Cheerios this morning? Like what is happening over there?
Melody got me up a half hour earlier than I was.
Okay.
And
You know
let me
what?
tell you something real quick. Bo, you're married. Stat guy, you're married.
Yep.
Does your wife ever wake you up and expect you to get up with her and make her breakfast and make her lunch? What is up with these women?
I mean, to be fair, I wake up at 4 a.m. every day. So I wake up before anybody is awake.
You know, I did that. Okay, but see, you know what the thing was? I did that for almost 30 years. 30 years, 4 a.m. on clockwork every day.
Sure.
And I said when I retired, what's the damn alarm clock?
Oh, I haven't set an alarm in 30 years.
Yeah. You know what I'm talking about.
I just wake up.
I wish I could be like that.
Yeah, for my wife, my wife gets up at 6 a.m. every day because she's got to work at the school. So yeah, she wakes me up at the same time because as she's getting ready for the school, I'm getting the kids ready to go to school. Just so it's she is going to.
I understand why you get up because you have children and things of that nature. But I'm empty nested. Even Blue looks at Melanie like, "Hey, did you keep that shit the fuck down? I'm trying to sleep here."
See, I get up that early just so that I can try and keep this show on the rails.
Hey, but speaking of which, though, speaking of pooping the bed, though, seriously, I mean, we all know where the Cowboys were heading. How about these 49ers? And I give Aaron Donald some love. I guess I was a little hard on him, but he really is, stat guy. Your Minnesota team out there really looked good yesterday. And this is really an indicator of who this team is.
I
guess North is on notice.
It's funny because I got a lot of hate for saying that this will probably be one of Darnold's best years.
And how long have I been saying on this show that he's going to get comeback player of the year?
Yeah, no.
We're not there yet, but he's definitely looking pretty.
But the thing is, there's 2 things that Minnesota has that Darnold has never had before. He has Kevin O'Connell, who is historically respected in the NFL for how he develops quarterbacks.
Sure.
And you've already seen it through 2 weeks that Darnold not only looks comfortable, but he looks like he's in command of an offense for the first time in his career.
And he has some weapons finally.
Yeah, and even Kyle Shanahan said the same thing when Kyle Shanahan brought him to San Francisco last year. Kyle Shanahan was very high on Darnold when he came out of the draft, and he was trying to get Darnold drafted to, I think, Atlanta when he was the offensive coordinator in Atlanta. And it never happened, so obviously he never got a chance to work with Darnold until last season. And the same thing when O'Connell was with the Rams. He was trying to get Sam Darnold there at some point as well. They both have always had a lot of respect and love for Sam Darnold and his abilities. But the other thing that Darnold has this year that I think a lot of teams are going to be regretting, freaking Brian Flores. What he is doing with that Minnesota defense right now is absolutely ridiculous. He completely gutted that defense. I've
always been on the Brian Flores train. I am hugely a big.
Yeah, but he got rid of everybody. He got rid of Danielle Hunter. He got rid of half of their secondary. He got rid of every single linebacker that they had last year. And what does he do? He brings in 3 linebackers this year, drafts another linebacker in Dallas Turner, gets Stephen Gilmore as a free agency late in the free agency process, and all of a sudden their defense is a top 5 defense. They sacked Brock Purdy 6 times yesterday. They picked him off twice. They sacked Daniel Jones 7 times the week before. This defense is legit. And that's
there really are two coaches that I would love to lead the Cowboys. It'll never happen, but I would. And Brian Flores was number 1, and Bobby Slowick was number 2. I mean, if I could get either one of those 2 coaches, I would be ecstatic.
Flores is the highest paid defensive coordinator in the NFL now.
I'm sure he is.
He's making $2 million a year as a defensive coordinator right now. He's the highest paid DC right now. So realistically, as much as he wants to be a head coach again, which I think he does, he has it made in Minnesota if he wants to stay in Minnesota. Like, they pay him so well that if he doesn't want to leave Minnesota and he just kind of wants to ride it out and just kind of build this defense, he's in a perfect situation right now, because as good as that defense is playing, it's going to take a lot of pressure off of Sam Darnold. And you started to see what happens when Sam Darnold doesn't have the pressure on him yesterday. That 97-yard pass to Jefferson was flawless.
Yep. Well, and that's the thing.
You know what? But every competitor doesn't want to just be the number 2 guy. Every competitor, everybody that's worth their salt competitively wants to be the guy. And I don't think Brian Flores wants to necessarily just stay as a defensive coordinator. I think absolutely he has aspirations for a head coach.
No, he does, but he's not going to just throw his name in there for a random job like a lot of
I don't think he would either.
He's going to only do it if the situation is right. And the fact that he's coached with Kevin O'Connell before, when Kevin O'Connell was in New England, that's why I'm not going to be surprised if he stays in Minnesota another 2-3 years after this, just because him and O'Connell are very good friends. They're very close, and he's not going to just get up and leave. Like let's just say Brian Dable gets fired this year. Brian Flores isn't just going to go to the Giants and be like, I want to coach here, because that's not a good situation for Brian Flores.
His next stop may be his only stop.
Yeah, he's going to wait until a team has an established quarterback. He's going to wait until the team has an established philosophy or an established offensive line before he gets up and throws his name in there, because otherwise it's just going to ruin his reputation of ever getting another job if he doesn't succeed.
Yeah.
Let me ask you guys a question. Given how well Tampa played against Detroit and beat Detroit, I guess now we got to start taking this team as a legit contender, right? I mean, they did well, and they've been doing well. And Baker is just phenomenally taken off, right?
I mean, in my opinion, right now, the two best teams in the NFL through 2 weeks are the Saints and the Bucs.
How weird is that to say?
I mean, you look at it though. I mean,
no. I mean, yeah.
I mean, obviously the Carolina game, you can't really say too much because Carolina's a dumpster fire. But what they did against Dallas, they basically played the same level as they did against the Panthers, and they just beat a far superior team, the Buccaneers. They won. I forgot who they played in week 1. I can't remember who they played in week 1. But Baker had 4 touchdowns in that game. Mm-hmm. Then he goes into Detroit and beats Detroit. That's 2 games that you really can't be like, oh, the Buccaneers got lucky, because Detroit's a good team. And you can even throw Minnesota in there now as one of the better teams in the NFC.
Yeah,
because,
I mean, in all honesty, if you looked at in preseason, Minnesota would have been on my radar.
Yeah.
And now Detroit, now Detroit is looking beatable. Green Bay is looking, not having Jordan Love there. I mean, even though Malik Willis did do a damn good job. We got to talk about Malik Willis and talking about how well he did, considering how well he shit the bed in Tennessee. But now you got to think Minnesota now is a viable candidate. So that North Division, to me, is all up in the air and up for grabs, just depending on the first 2 weeks of the season.
And
I said that from the beginning. I thought that was going to be one of the best divisions to watch.
I said Minnesota was a 6 or 7 win team with Darnold.
Sure, for sure.
But now I think they can win 10 games. I don't think they're going to be an 11, 12 win team. But what I think a lot of people knew that Darnold was talented enough to win with this team. But I don't think a lot of people realized how good this defense was going to be as quick as they've gotten better because of all the changes they made. I think a lot of people thought this would be a work in progress offensively. But that defense is playing so well right now that it's going to keep Minnesota in every game. And as long as Darnold can minimize the mistakes, he can beat you.
Oh, yeah.
But now would you say, was the game for Malik Willis in Green Bay, was that a one-off? Or
he didn't even play well, though.
I mean, he did play well.
He had 144 yards passing. The Packers had almost 300 yards rushing. That's why they won the game.
No, but I'm saying he turned the ball over. He was an effective game manager, really. I mean, he
didn't let him be.
This guy's elite. But when you look at what he was doing out there in Tennessee, I mean, it looks better. It looks like he's working within the system. And like you said, they have a good run game. They have a good pass, good O-line, and he's taking advantage of it.
That was the thing in Tennessee. Like in Tennessee, he had Derrick Henry. but they still wanted him to throw the ball 20 to 25 times a game when he was in Tennessee, which is going to make him more prone to mistakes. In Green Bay right now, they don't want him to throw the ball 20 times. If he's throwing the ball more than 17, 18 times, chances are the Packers are not winning. They want him to just basically 3rd down and 5, you throw a 7-yard pass to move the chains. They don't want him taking chances. They want him to just manage the game and lean off that run until Jordan Love comes back.
Yeah, I mean, he threw the ball 14 times. That is nothing.
His longest completion was a 13-yard touchdown pass. That was his longest completion of the game. Otherwise, everything else was 5, 6, 7 yards. Like, they don't want him to throw that ball. It's literally like, just protect the ball, hand it off. If we need you to throw it, you throw it 7 yards when we need 6.
Pretty much. And Chris, yes, this one was wild because the Ravens offense showed up. The defense decided to go home at halftime. Like, I don't know what it was, because the Ravens were in command of this game and then just absolutely fell off. And again, just on the defensive side, because the offense put up enough points to win.
It's 2 weeks in a row the defense let them down.
Yeah, exactly. There's some real concerns over there. So then I guess we might as well talk about the Seahawks, who find themselves at 2-0 in the clunkiest fashion you can. They beat two bad teams. I knew that the Patriots defense was going to be, interesting to overcome because they were a far better defense than what Denver had. Their offense is what worried me about the Seahawks. Is one, our offensive line, just terrible. His turnstiles. You kind of felt bad for Geno because it looked like he was going to die back there. But the biggest thing, and my biggest concern, is what we saw on the defensive side of the ball. You couldn't stop a tight end to save your life, and anything up the middle worked, right? Like if you were running up the middle, it worked. If you had passes in the middle, it worked. And that is something that we've seen out of the Seahawks defense for, a number of years now that had them at the bottom of the rankings. So I don't know what they need to do week to week to be able to tighten some of that stuff up. But I mean, if anybody's watching the tape from this weekend, tight ends will be heavily involved because they can't find any way to stay with those guys.
I guess my rebuttal to that is, where did the Seahawks coach come from?
The Ravens.
What was the Ravens' biggest issue on defense last year?
I mean, they had some coverage issues.
They were 27th in the NFL in covering tight ends.
Yeah.
So whatever scheme this defensive coordinator had in Baltimore, even covering tight ends was not one of the things that he liked to do. And obviously he brought that scheme with him most likely. So maybe it's just one of those things where he doesn't necessarily worry about covering tight ends as much as he should. I mean, because that alone does open the middle of the field.
Well, but the problem is they couldn't stop the run either. So all of a sudden, any kind of slant route, seam route, tight end out, runs up the middle, like they struggled with all of those things.
Oh yeah, because let's be honest, Chardonnay really shit the bed trying to run up that ball.
Well,
so like 2.7 in average. I mean,
that was not.
No, I'm speaking from a fantasy perspective. I know his O line probably wasn't better, but
yeah. Well,
it looks like maybe it looks like Walker might be playing next week. It looks like, if I'm looking at the injury reports, it's like it's favorable or starting to become favorable.
I wouldn't put money on that. But no. So if you were looking at a fantasy situation, I wouldn't have started Charbonnet anyway. But the offensive line was getting zero push. There were multiple times where they needed 1 yard and couldn't get it.
Right.
So this was I don't put that on Charbonnet. He's not that bigger, like bruising back that can, shove his way through a defensive line. He needs his offensive line to get some push. And there was absolutely none against this Patriots defense. Like, it was frustrating to watch.
No doubt about it. I mean, Cabernet really was looking bad. I mean, you got a white wine out there when you should have a red wine.
Hey, we got a Philly guy.
Yes, we do. And we're about to take a big picture. Of course, I just get on and now we're ready to take a picture.
Oh, okay.
That's probably the best fake taste. That's what you do. Yeah,
I was just done. I just did this live on Fox. So actually, I didn't do it. An actual artist did it.
Awesome.
Oh, that's dope.
I obviously see you got this going on. I got a lot to show you guys, so I'm gonna let you guys talk for a minute while I take this picture.
Sounds good. I'm going to mute you. All right.
It looked pretty good out there with that new paint get up. That's probably that's the best ones I've seen yet on him.
Yeah, well, he had that when he was down in Brazil, and then he wasn't allowed to actually wear it into the game. So he ended up having to wash it off. But it was a similar paint scheme.
Oh,
but
wow.
yeah, so, I mean, when it comes to the Seahawks, there's that offensive line. It was, I really was hoping that it was going to get a little bit further. And unfortunately, they just got absolutely no push. Fortunately, it was against a team that wasn't great. They were able to finally, at the end of the game, have a clutch kick to get the win. But man, it just wasn't.
I tell you what, though, if you were running the Jigba or Metcalf in your fantasy league, you were looking nice.
Oh, they had tons of yards. I mean, Geno had a nice day overall, yardage wise. Like it wasn't bad overall. No. What was bad was the defense couldn't stop anything, and the offensive line is going to get people hurt. And it made it so that key conversion opportunities in extremely short yardage they couldn't do anything with. And so that's a huge concern moving forward, because we started the season against two teams that aren't great, right? Yeah. So next week we go into, we have Miami coming here to Seattle. Even without Tua, that's a pretty explosive offense, or at least it can be.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. I mean, you guys kind of went from Legion to Doom on defense to Legion to Sleepy.
Yeah, it was, it's been a bottom 5 defense for, the last 5 years. So I'm hoping some things get changed up. Oh, we got some Gator action going on.
Yeah, we do.
Hard to say, that looks really good.
Yeah, so I don't want to take it all apart. It's bacon wraps all the way around. So, yeah, they got it all smoking. So I wanted to show you guys, because it's so pretty. It's so pretty. Yeah,
I could eat some of that.
Yeah.
And here's like the line just to get into the parking lot. Like this is like they haven't even opened the parking lot for another 45 minutes. So it's like we're here out in force already. Like half the stadium is just waiting to get into the parking lot so we can tailgate and start our actual home opener.
Oh, yeah.
Nice.
So, hey, listen, your Seahawks, they almost lost.
They sure did.
I guess it's an almost. It's part of the almost here, but yeah, that was a little scary, I think.
It was ugly, I think is the word you're looking for. It was an ugly win that doesn't inspire confidence moving forward.
No, I can't imagine very much so. How about your Vikings, I guess, looked good, but yeah, they're used to beating the 49ers. I mean, the 49ers haven't won there in Minnesota since what? Like there was
1995.
I almost want to say Bush was the president.
95 was their last win in Minnesota.
The Cowboys actually won the Super Bowl the last time.
The thing with the Minnesota game though too is everyone's looking at that final score and they're like 23-17. People forget to realize that Aaron Jones lost a fumble on the goal line. If he doesn't fumble that ball, that's a 30-17, 31-17 game. And Minnesota basically had command of that game start to finish. And I think it's not a surprise that they won that game. It's more of a surprise that they controlled that game start to finish.
Yes.
But I guess the biggest surprise has to come from Jerry Jones knowing what the hell happened.
I agree. The biggest surprise to me, Pags, like I was telling the guys, is Zimmer went to Parsons and said, you got the keys to the defense. And I guess Parsons didn't have a conversation with the secondary because twice they got blown out on coverages and twice there was nobody even around. The one guy caught the damn ball in the end zone and there wasn't a Cowboy one around it. I literally have flashbacks to Green Bay in the playoffs. Literally. It was almost like the same damn team. And it's crazy.
Yeah, no, Quinn gave him the playbook.
You know what? He probably did. But let's be honest, though. The Chiefs got damn lucky because Jamar Chase Had he not had that little hissy fit and fucked himself over, fucked his team over with the referee on that hip tackle drop that he didn't get called, they probably could have won that damn game. But when they took that 15-yard penalty already on top of the team, now you're looking at 3rd and 25 or 4th and 25. I mean, come on.
I mean, Blame
literally had the game to win. It was there for the taking. They only had like a minute left in the game. All you got to do is get that first, get maybe a little field goal, and the game is yours. But no.
I mean, blame the defender for trying to tackle Rashee Rice in midair. That's ultimately what gave Kansas City the win anyways. And Patrick Mahomes had the worst game of his career. And they still won.
He did get there early. I mean, the thing is he has the right to go after the ball, but he did get there a little early.
Yeah.
Like you can't play through the player.
Yeah.
So you have a right to the ball. You can make some contact, but you can't play through the guy.
Yeah.
So that's DPI.
And the thing is too, like, let's just go with what Jay said, where if Jamar Chase doesn't do what he did and Cincinnati ends up getting a touchdown as opposed to the field goal, who's to say Kansas City's not going to get a touchdown then at the end after that pass interference call, because their play calling is going to be a lot more aggressive. Once that pass interference call,
that was a pivotal moment for Cincinnati that they could have really capitalized on it rather than, giving the ball up and then letting Kansas City go and take control of the game. I mean, that really
it was ridiculous in a lot of ways, though. I mean, it was a ticky-tack call, and I'm so tired of that they're not calling it all game long, and now all of a sudden the game is on the line for one specific team, and they call it.
I mean, that's a very. I was thinking the same thing. On all honesty, Pags, I was thinking the same thing.
Well,
it's ridiculous. It was ridiculous.
The biggest takeaway from this game is Isaiah Pacheco, though, who they initially said he left with an ankle injury, but now it's reviewed that he has a cracked fibula. So if Isaiah Pacheco is out for any significant amount of time, who's going to be the option at running back? Because Clyde Edwards-Helaire is out till week 6. They don't have Jerick McKinnon anymore. They have.
They're going to use Worthy. Worthy will be the back.
Or they'll go and re-sign Jerick McKinnon, knowing that he knows this system already, and then he just plugged Jerick McKinnon in there.
I would tell you, I have broken my femur, and I understand the process of getting back in track. And now they can put a rod in there, right? And it could, if they put a rod in there, staple it up, you can run like that. It may take a couple of weeks to heal up from that, and then you're back in the game. It just depends on how they choose to treat that.
That's what they're going to be That's what they're figuring out today and tomorrow. They're figuring out the severity of it, if it's going to be season ending or if it's one of those things where you just put them on IR for 6 weeks, let them heal up, and then bring them back.
Yeah, all you got to do is put a rod in there and put the pins in it, let him heal it up. Like you said, IR for 4, 5, 6 weeks, whatever the case is. And then he's back in action. And in the meantime, like Pag said, he probably put Worthy in there, or maybe you go sign McKinnon and you just ride it out.
Brennan, you're not wrong. There's one remaining Cowboy fan viewing, and that's mostly because they all broke their TVs last night.
Hey, you know what? I damn almost broke mine, and then I realized, hey, wait a minute. I still got one more thing.
I would bet money that Cowboys fans are the only reason Walmart is as big of a company as they are, because those doorbuster deals for TVs, they're in there buying every single year.
So you're already on the wrong. We don't go to Walmart. We go to Sam's Club. Get it right, damn it.
It's the same company, man. It's the same company.
Yeah, no. You get better deals in Sam's Club than you do Walmart. So you know that, Bob. You actually went to Sam's Club. You're one of those rich people, man. You go to Target.
Not for a TV. You're not doing that at Target.
No, TVs are more expensive at Target. You can go to Walmart and get them a lot cheaper.
That's right. You get those door breaker deals.
No problem. You guys stunk.
No, and Philly, the worst part about him being bored talking about it's not the fact that we stunk, it's the fact that even next year it's going to get worse. Because, so we has a lot of issues, and I see a very dark time period, even darker than what we've been through. So yeah, unfortunately, Jerry created it, and we're having to live with it. You know, you can choose your team. Unfortunately, you can't choose your owner.
Yep.
Well, you thought though that you had that first game and you won, and you were all excited about sniffing yourself. I'm glad that the Saints did that to you guys, though.
Look, everybody knows Cleveland. We beat Cleveland, but truthfully, Deshaun beat Cleveland. Deshaun Watson beat Cleveland. Okay, let's just call that one for what it is.
I mean, if you guys would have started 0-2, that would have been amazing. Like the amount of
Well,
meltdown
you know
that would have
what?
happened.
I agree. You know, and at this point, I gotta tell you, man. At this point, I'm like, fuck it. If we're gonna screw it up, let's just go all the way and screw it up. Get the damn number 1 pick. Hopefully, we'll get a decent quarterback, better than what we got, and we can tell Dak Prescott to go take a hike somewhere.
Now, you're stuck with them now.
I know.
Absolutely stuck.
I know.
You just gave him. You just gave him like another $65 million.
And that's the thing, right? I mean, in all honesty, why not just let Dak walk? Let him walk. Go to the shitty time period and rebuild.
You can't let him walk now.
No,
You
I know
said-
not
Yeah,
now.
because that cap hit would be $180 million.
Exactly.
No, not now. No, I know. I'm saying not now. I was saying, but I was saying this back before they even signed Dak. Let that son of a bitch go.
Yeah, all of a sudden,
Go get a damn guy out of the damn. Go get a rookie out of college, and because I guarantee you, you'll pay him less. You can develop him, and he's going to have about a good enough shot, if not better, than what Dak's already given us, right? Or maybe it's equal to, but at least we're not having to pay $240 million for a while. Right.
I mean,
Unless he shows
I
out.
don't know if you're getting 12 and 5 out of a rookie.
No. I'm not saying 12 and 5. I mean, it's going to take a little time to get up to that, but I'm saying that you'll still have him cheaper than what it will help your cap situation. Let's put it that way.
Yeah, well, I mean, it would have. Sure.
Of course. Yeah, it would have. It would have.
Yeah, now you're screwed. But
We are, man. I mean, we really are. It sucks. I hate my life right now. Hey, hey, but how about that combination of Marvin Harrison Jr., Kyler Murray, and then finally figured it out to get chemistry so they could go out there and destroy the hell out of the Rams.
I mean, the Rams got absolutely beat down. I was not expecting that.
That was a big surprise.
They got boat
You know?
raced.
They did. And it could have been worse than it was. Like that's the craziest part.
Didn't Harrison have more yards by himself than the Rams did as a team in the first half?
Yeah, that sounds about right.
Yeah.
Probably in the first quarter. He had 130 yards in the first quarter.
Yeah.
That's ridiculous.
No, it was it was wild. I was not expecting the Cards to take that big of a step forward. I thought the Rams were going to win this game just because they had more chemistry. They've been around each other a longer time. But man, they just did not come ready to play, and the Cards just blew them out.
Well, I mean, think about it. They put up 231 rushing yards, most of it done by Connor himself, versus that 258 passes. So literally, Connor and Marvin Harrison Jr. had monster days. I mean, they couldn't stop the run. They couldn't stop the pass. They need to go find Aaron Donald and say, hey, you need to get back over here. We need you. How much you want?
He ain't coming
Rams
back.
did nothing
Oh,
wrong.
he ain't coming back. I mean, that's wishful thinking, but, you know. And then I think Cooper Kupp's even injured, isn't he? I think Cooper Kupp went down with an injury.
No, not Puka Nakua.
Yeah,
Was it Puka that went down with the injury?
Puka's done for like 6 weeks, I think.
6-7 weeks. Yeah.
Wow. I mean, from a fantasy perspective, that's amazing, but for them personally, no, not so much.
I mean, that's only amazing if you didn't have him on your team.
Exactly. That's my point. I think the guy I'm going up against this week had Puka Nicole, so that's like
Okay.
one less guy I have to deal with.
That's why Jason. That's why
Yeah,
Jason.
this season, man.
Hey, look, you know how much injuries I took last year?
Yes.
I mean, it was ridiculous.
So, I mean, in the theme of just the crazy amount of underdog wins this week, what the Falcons going to do work today? Is that what's going to go down?
I'm going to call it now. This is the game that Kirk Cousins gets hurt. This is the game that Michael Penix Jr. comes in and doesn't get rid of the starting job the rest of the way.
I mean, that might happen. That might happen.
I actually agree with that statement.
Yeah, I would definitely agree with that as well.
Cousins, if you watch Cousins last week against the Steelers, he looked as stiff as a board. He looked like he wanted nothing to do with even trying to get out of the pocket. If Philly blitzes him, he is screwed.
The only reason I really truly 100% agree with Stat Guy is, and I think Stat Guy said it earlier, is it's a 10 to 12 month recovery, and this guy did it in less.
He's at 8 right now.
No,
yeah,
I don't.
So you did it in 8.
Ready. Yeah, I don't think he's ready to go.
Oh, hell no. Listen, at 36 years old, I mean, even a 26-year-old would need that. I mean, a 36-year-old needs it probably even more because your body's not healing up like a young whippersnapper, right?
No, I think he took the start just because he didn't want to lose the job.
I mean, and to his credit, though, like he's been very durable since he's come into the league, and he really hasn't had any. I think he's missed like 2 or 3 starts his entire career, so he hasn't really had a career, not a career, but like a season-ending injury where he's had to kind of go through the rehab process. So he could heal a little bit faster than more 36-year-olds just because his body has been in such good shape. But this is not a game that you want to be the starting quarterback in when you cannot scramble, when you're not 100% in my opinion yet, and you're still trying to learn chemistry with your offense. So I don't expect him to finish this game. And if he doesn't finish this game, I wouldn't be shocked for the Falcons to just be like, okay, we're going to put you in IR a few weeks just to make sure you're 100%.
You know, look, a 36-year-old, I'm sorry, good shape or not, unless you're injecting stem cells up in there, you know, you can't beat Father Time like that. You just can't. Father Time's always going to win unless you're injecting stem cells and putting millions of dollars into your recovery. You know, it just is what it is.
But still ends up catching up with you. But
of course, absolutely it does. You can't stop it. It's trying to be a lot, but I do think Penix should have had those starts, and I think Stat Guy. I think you're right. I think eventually he is going to get that opportunity, if not in the Eagles game.
Well, I think he makes it probably to about the third quarter, and I think it's going to be such a blowout.
They take him out anyways.
That Penix comes in.
Yeah.
But I believe that Penix is in this game today, and Penix doesn't give the game back. Like he goes down and he brings them to a couple of scores, and you know, he looks okay for a quarter.
yeah, the other one that was a little bit of a surprise. I thought the Jags were going to play better than they did.
Oh, absolutely.
I mean, just because the Browns are such a problem, right? Like they don't do anything particularly well. Now there's distractions coming into this. Deshaun didn't exactly have a great game. But the Jags seem to find a way to lose. And I mean, and that's what they did. I kind of wish Travis was here today because I think this would be a fun conversation.
Yeah, I think that we're seeing the beginning of the end of Doug Peterson.
Oh, I think you're right.
Yeah.
I think that he's going to be outside of coaching here in a little bit. That he's not the guy.
The same thing happened in Philly, though, when he was the head coach, where his first year in Philadelphia, he built up that roster. He had one good season out of Carson Wentz that got him to the Super Bowl. And then after that, it was kind of, I'm not going to say terrible, but it was just kind of mediocre at best.
It just continued to slide.
Yeah, it's like the same thing in Jacksonville. His first year in Jacksonville, he acquired the talent to build up that roster. Then he banked on Trevor Lawrence's best season as a pro, got to the playoffs, won a playoff game. But since then, it's just been mediocre and just kind of sliding.
Yeah.
But and I haven't liked what I've seen out of Lawrence either.
No, and I think with Doug Peterson too, like to his credit, he knows how to build up a roster and get them competitive really quick because he did it in both Philadelphia and Jacksonville. But once he gets to that point where he has a competitive team, he has not figured out how to sustain that success long term. It's like he gets to the top of the mountain so quick, then it's like, shit, now what do I do? And then it's just kind of like mediocre sliding the rest of the way down. He hasn't figured out how to keep that success going for like multiple years.
No, that's because he's used to climbing a mountain, not scaling a ridge. So he gets to the top, he takes the picture. And goes home.
Yeah, exactly. Like that's the one thing that's the biggest downfall that I think he's going to have as a head coach that might prevent him from getting another job after this, where it's like, yes, you do a great job of getting us to the mountain, but you don't do a good job of keeping us up there. It's like you get up there and then somebody's like, we're going to push you off now. And now you got to figure out how to get back up, and you haven't done that yet.
No, because he's not trying to get back up. He's just like, well, I saw it. Going home. Like,
so this is what Mount Everest looks like. Okay, we're good now.
Good enough. Yep.
Or in some cases, maybe you just jump off of Mount Everest and say hell with it.
I mean, I believe they call that retirement.
Yeah, they kind of do.
In his case, it'll be forced retirement.
Exactly.
Oh, yeah.
Exactly.
Oh,
I mean,
yeah.
I could still see him being an OC somewhere, but I don't think he'll get another head coaching job after this.
Actually, I don't see him becoming an OC.
You know,
I would see him becoming a college coach in a Division
Exactly.
2 or 3 school.
That's what I was thinking. He would end up in the college ranks.
Yeah,
Wow,
I
you
just
think
I
he goes
don't,
down to D2 or D3? You don't think he gets anything in the D1 level?
I don't think so. Actually,
I don't know. He might be able to. He might be able to get a Colorado
he
job.
might get one job. He might get one job there.
Yeah, he'll get that. He'll get that Colorado job when Dion goes
When
to the.
Deion goes to Dallas? Sure.
No, I would say he'd probably get Washington State job.
Oh, the Huskies.
Okay.
Okay.
No, that's
not the
Cougars.
Huskies, the
Is that the
Cougars.
Cougars?
Yeah, it's a Cougars.
Okay. Okay.
Yeah, because I mean, isn't he from that area? Isn't he a Washington State guy type thing?
I don't remember offhand. You could be
I know
right.
he's from the Seattle area, and I'm saying Seattle area just as the whole state of Washington.
Yeah, no, of
But-
course.
Yeah, he was born in Bellingham, Washington.
Oh yeah, Bellingham. Okay.
But he went to college at Northeast Louisiana.
Yeah, so I'm not necessarily concerned about that. I think he goes back home. I think he becomes like he would do Washington State, and then once he doesn't do well there, he's going to be somewhere else.
What are you
Unless
talking about? He's going to be in competition for the Pac-12 championship all the time.
Well, then he might stay there.
Unless the only way that I could see him getting an offensive coordinator job is with Andy Reid, because Andy Reid brought Matt Nagy back after Matt Nagy completely flopped as a head coach, and Andy Reid and Doug Peterson have that great relationship where he might just be like, "Come here and be a quarterback coach. Come here and be a senior offensive assistant. It lets you stay in the NFL without the pressure of doing anything."
I mean,
That's possible.
that is possible.
I don't think that he is that hard up for the job.
I mean,
I
probably
think
not.
that he likes being in charge. Just my opinion. I don't know.
Yeah.
I could be wrong.
Yeah. Well, and money-wise, he's done fine. So it's not like he has to take a job that he doesn't want.
Right.
Right. So we'll see. But I think this is going to be his last season. If not, like I think they're primed to go bad,
Yeah.
like a 6-10 season or 6-11 season.
Oh no.
And if that happens, he won't be back.
No.
No, I agree with that. Stat Guy, do you know what his contract looks like?
I think let me pull that up. I think he's got 2 years left. Maybe if he's got 2 years left, I could see him being back next year. But if next year is the final year of his deal, I could see him being gone after this year if they don't turn it around. Just
No, I
because
think it was a 5-year deal. I think he's got 3 years.
you never have like a coach entering that what they call the lame duck year, where you're in the final year of your deal and you haven't gotten the extension yet. 9 out of 10 times,
Right.
that typically means you're not getting the extension and you'll be gone anyways.
No, exactly.
Let me see here. So Doug Peterson's contract. It says it runs to 2026.
Yeah,
Okay.
3 years.
Yeah.
So he's got 2 years left after this year. So I could see him being back next year yet, but then next year would be the year where he's completely on the hot seat. Where it's like if you don't win this year, then you're gone before that final year of your deal.
I mean, I think he has to be on the hot seat already, really.
No, he is, but
Yeah.
in terms of like him getting fired, I don't see Jacksonville firing him with 2 years left. I see them firing him even before the season's over in 2025. Just because they're not going to get him into that final year of his deal without an extension, and then they're not going to bring him back if the team isn't really going anywhere. So
Yeah,
let him-
I don't
I'm
see him getting
I'm
fired.
telling you, if he goes 6-11, he's fired this year.
Oh yeah, if he goes 6-11, yeah.
Yeah, I don't see him getting fired during the season though.
Yeah, if he keeps his team competitive and they go 8-9, I think he's back next year. But it's
Sure.
not going to be a very happy reunion if he's back next year.
Have we seen them be competitive? I know the score didn't look like much, but
In that, outside of the Houston Texans, really, 8-9 will keep you competitive in that division. And they were competitive all the way until the final week of the regular season last year, where
I
all
just
the
meant during a game have we seen them be
No,
competitive?
But they don't
Well,
have to be
I
there.
mean, especially the way Indianapolis played against Green Bay, this week.
Yeah.
I mean, they looked terrible. Anthony
mean,
Richardson was horrible.
You're not winning that division. Houston's going to
Yeah.
win that division going
Oh,
away
no
at
question.
this point. But now you have the Tennessee Titans who've looked terrible. The Colts looked good against Houston, but they looked terrible against Green Bay. And then you got Jacksonville. Jacksonville can easily finish 8-9 and be in second place in that division. That's why it's like you can't really put their measuring stick up against Houston because Houston's so much better than the rest of the teams in that division. If Jacksonville's just competitive enough to finish in second place, yes, they'll probably miss the playoffs. But if they finish in second place, Jacksonville will be like, let's give them one more go and see what we can do.
That brings us to the top of the hour. So if you're watching here on YouTube, be sure to like and subscribe. If you're watching on Roku, stay tuned for the next hour. Everybody have fun. Billy, have a good time at the game, man.
I'll have a blast. You know I'm going to be there. I look for my smiling face. I'm sure they show me on TV tonight.
Oh, you know,
I said 3 voodoo curses that y'all will have massive injuries in Philly. I hope it
wow, that
happens.
is messed up, man. What is wrong with you?
You know what?
Misery loves company. Did you know that, though? Misery loves company.
Tell the doctor to mess with the medicine again. That you're talking gibberish.
Have a good day, everybody.
Have a good one, guys.